You know we got to get started hot.
Have to.
You know we got to get started hot. I was thinking about how I wanted to come up on here. Wanted to be humble, wanted to maintain my composure. When it comes to the Dallas Mavericks, there's been a lot of disrespect on them. They beat OKC in 6 games. We could recap the game in a little bit. Just comments made, man. OKC in 6 wasn't terrible, but Mavs fans are super passionate and they remember everything. So they got after you. But you, mister. 10 seed. PJ, I remember we had a BR debate, and I said PJ Washington's a needle mover. Y'all both told me he wasn't. 19 points in the second round. PJ Washington.
Game 7 got saved by a Mickey Mouse call.
And pouring 3-point shots.
Shout out to Derek Jones Jr. That guy really balled out in Game 7. Nah, but I'd be very disingenuous if I did not give PJ Washington his respect. He's been awesome this postseason.
I called them dark horse contenders mid-season. I got laughed at by all you three, and I need a refresher in my brain. Santos sent me a list of the clips.
Please.
All the clips.
Play them all.
The clips. I don't want to play it all just now. I think when he's ready to release it, he will release it, and then we could play it.
Oh, he's going to put it on
Yeah,
on
I think he's going to put it on his account. Drew, you're my brother.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but I noticed this in the midst of you speaking on the Mavericks. And this is why Mavericks fans were so mad at you. This is why they couldn't stand you.
One of the many reasons. Let's hear it.
At some point, you stopped analyzing and you started trolling.
That's partially true.
OKC in 5, when you made that prediction, I told you that's a dumb opinion.
I felt very, very good about that, truthfully.
Why?
OKC looked dominant against the Pelicans, and I did not see Dallas look dominant against the Clippers.
5 games, brother?
OKC was
a gentleman's sweep on Luka and Luka ain't even play well, and they beat him in 6.
That's exactly why. Luka hadn't played well, saw Kyrie play some awesome basketball, but I just wasn't bought in on that performance versus the Clippers, and I saw Oklahoma City all season long be one of the best teams in basketball on both sides.
I did it too. You know, because before the playoffs started, I said like Dallas and OKC is like contention because I had the Nuggets number 1, but I thought those two were in contention for the 2 and 3 like best team in the West, and I had Minnesota at 4 because of the cat injury. But I thought the same thing as Drew. I thought Pelicans, OKC, I'm like, OKC just dominated this. And I thought the same thing as Drew because I'm looking at a banged up Clippers team kind of going bar for bar at times with this Mavs team that I was thinking is a team that like legit could go to the WCF, legit if things go right could go to the finals. That's how great they were playing. But I was wrong. I'm sitting here. I was wrong too. You know, I already got my hell, but I was wrong too. OKC in 6. I think some of their flaws that got masked against the Pelicans because the Pelicans were just super banged up as well, and without Zion, they really just don't have a talent. Like the talent isn't equal on both teams for that to be a legitimate series. And I think I just overlooked that, and I gave OKC too much credit. And no matter what, you know, if you do it convincingly, if you do it not convincingly, it's matchup to matchup. You know what I mean? Like you talk about Dallas, who had a really tough time against the Clippers team, who was banged up, and I feel like they took care of OKC, a healthy team that was better than the Clippers, more comfortably than they just did with the team that was banged up. Yep. But a big part of that was Luka in these last couple games. You know, Luka, the first round of the playoffs wasn't great. First 2, 3, 4 games, even in this series, that he wasn't the same. Luka self was that game 4. He had like that 19-point performance, and I was trolling, doing all that shit. And then he steps these next 2 games, he locks in. You see him with the referees, not as much, at least in game 5, game 6. He was kind of OD at times. But yeah, getting Luka 2 of those games, that's what sealed the series.
There was part of me that was trolling, but then when I have to do my analysis, 95% of that is me feeling confident in what I'm saying. I did feel confident at that moment that I picked OKC in 5. I damn sure felt great after game 1, but like you mentioned to me a couple of days ago, you can't take a game 1 Dallas Mavericks game 2 series because Jason Kidd's never won one in his career.
It blows my mind that it doesn't matter now. Either you win or you're losing like what we were expecting.
Yeah, he's Mr. Game 2, and he makes amazing adjustments. He made some awesome adjustments in this one. But where I feel like, and a lot of people I feel like, oh, why do you guys talk about how wrong you are? I feel like that's part of accountability. And why I feel so wrong about this series is I doubted the role players strongly. and Mark Dagnall also felt similarly how I felt. And they blitzed Luka, they blitzed Kyrie, forced PJ, forced Derek Jones and Derek Lively just to be good, and especially understanding that you're going to have this amount of attention to these two stars. You got to hit your shots now. PJ answered that call. Derek answered that call. Of course, Lively also was big, especially at the free throw line down the stretch of these games. I give a lot of credit to those role players. Tim Hardaway Jr. was a no-show outside of game 2. But these role players definitely shut me the hell up. And I got to give acknowledgement to those guys. Luka Doncic, of course, is going to be Luka. Kyrie Irving, maybe not his most efficient series, but even at the end of the day, you talk all the time about his leadership. You understand, I know about that. Kyrie Irving is one of the better leaders, and I feel like that goes unnoticed because of all the outside things that aren't about basketball. But again, when it comes to the Mavericks, this is really where he solidified himself as a leader. And it's rubbed off on everyone. So I give credit where credit is due, of course. No hater from me. I know I've had a lot of fun with the Dallas Mavericks fan. They gave me the hell that I definitely deserved. But at the same time, job's not done. You got to go out there and you still got to finish. You got to finish and get to a championship. But you still take your.
Stop it.
Well, let me finish.
Stop it.
Take your victories. You're going on to the next round. This is your second WCF in a matter of 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so
second in 3 years.
So listen, you guys have been awesome, especially under that man over there.
If this is where their season ends, this is a successful season.
I don't think any Mavericks fan feels that way.
No, 100% they should feel that way.
Listen, I'll say this also. Mavs fans, end of the road here in terms of us trolling. You won. You guys have gotten way farther than I ever imagined. I thought round 2 would definitely be the furthest you'd go. But you ultimately have a top 3 player in the world. You have one of the best Robins in basketball. You have one of the better coaches, especially in terms of making adjustments, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and Jason Kidd, who I feel like towards the middle of the season, although the roster was not great, you made the moves, especially at the trade deadline, to go and fill out his
This
game
ain't
plan.
a make or break year.
Not at all.
You gotta extend
Not
it.
at all.
That's why they're successful. It's a successful
But
season.
why I still say is if you're a Mavericks fan, you've gotten this far. We do have a top 3 player in the world who could have arguably been the MVP of the league. I still think that their mindset is we can win a championship, especially now that Denver's out of the picture.
Oh, no, they should feel that way, but that doesn't mean just because if the season were to end, it's not a successful season. Because ultimately, nobody picked them to be here. Everybody picked them to miss the playoffs. That's for one. And this team has only played with each other for half a season. Imagine how much chemistry they can build. They have an off season together. Imagine how better Lively's going to get from year 1 to year 2. Luka's only going to keep improving. Derek Jones Jr., I think he should get paid this offseason. He has deserved it. If he stays with the team, how much better he's going to get. PJ now having an offseason to train for a specific role that he wants to thrive in. I think it's just the beginning for the Mavericks. And as long as you got Luka and Kyrie, it's going to be that way. So I think even if it were to end here, it's a successful season. You ain't mentioned the defense, brother. You ain't mentioned the defense not once.
And I'll be honest, in that game 6, the defense was not great.
No. I got some quotes here.
Okay.
When I said they were my dark horse contender.
Was that before or after PJ and Gafford?
It was after. It was when they had games with them.
Okay.
You said,
all right, let's
Lord
see.
help me if you talk about that defense.
The defense was terrible.
This defense is one of the worst in basketball.
It was.
Y'all really thought I was taking the Mavericks? Remember when he said that to y'all?
That was about the Clippers.
He said
that was a great
Clippers
moment.
in
That was a good
6.
moment.
If Kawhi would have played, who knows?
He said Clippers in 6. I still don't believe in this Mavericks
7.
defense.
It was Clippers in 7.
No,
However,
I have it. I quoted
I
it from the
thought you
videos.
said 7.
I thought I said 7.
But okay.
If you have me quoted, fair. And
after
going
game
to give
1,
them credit for their defense. Oh, after game 1, I wasn't alone.
you said it'd be super tragic to see your season end this way.
It would be.
Laughing.
It would have been super
Oh,
tragic.
you guys are funny. I don't think. Sorry, go ahead, Drew.
I don't think this defense was all world. It was great in moments for sure.
In the playoffs, it's been really damn good.
In that game 6, I'm not looking at that as a great defensive performance. That's not what won them the game.
They're in the conference finals because of their defense.
I agree. Almost all of their
For a
wins, they've
majority,
held the opponents under 100.
Agreed. Well, again, they were
They held
Clippers,
OKC to
banged
their
up,
lowest point total
but
of the season.
OKC agreed. They showed a
They
lot.
had them in hell at times.
They
too.
showed me a lot in this Oklahoma City series, especially for how they made J-Dub look, because J-Dub was not confident at moments. But in that game 6, we saw Chet be on. We saw J-Dub be on. We saw SGA all series long be at the SGA that we are accustomed to or have been accustomed to these last couple of seasons, but finally showed it in a playoff setting. The one big thing that stands out to me more than anything is Cason Wallace down the stretch of that game 6. If he just hits a couple more of those wide open shots. Again, I don't look at this defense as being amazing in that closeout game. What won them the game for me was down the stretch, their offense couldn't be stopped. Oklahoma City could not find a stop for Dallas's offense, whether it was Luka, whether it was Derek Jones, whether it was PJ. You mentioned him hitting a big shot down the stretch of the game in that corner 3, him being able to force a foul on him in that last possession. When Oklahoma City went up 1 after they were down 5, I still didn't feel confident, even though they had came back from behind after they were up, of course. I didn't feel confident because the Mavericks had been so great closing that game. So again, I give respect to what their defense had done in the series. But Game 6 was not won because of their defense.
Game 6, they were down 16 points. You got to make runs on offense, but that coincides with your defense. You're not coming back down 16 if you're not getting a multitude of stops.
I don't disagree, but at the same time, you're getting stops. But these guys had really, really high-quality looks that just were not falling.
Especially for some of their best shooters.